And we are live with Handless Dogs against Pudad and Sons. We're in for a treat of a series and a treat of a game as well because we're on Taiko Temple. We're going to have interesting matchups, and there's a prize fighter start here as well. No one went for it though because Saxon Sax is just going to be a bit too strong, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And because no one took Price Fighter, it's gonna be back on the menu potentially for Nikki Middleman here to get and keep stacking those damages on top because it's good. So it looks like a really strong combination right now from Pudad and Sons, and Nikki Middleman and Co is going to need a lot of damage to get past this creation stack here, as both teams' barriers are down, and so bets are open. And we need to see how the Finny special jockeys over. Pudash clears. Back to the midfield it goes. Mr. Flambeau walking over. Nikki Millen trying to core control the best he can with all the creations blocking her away. But Mr. Flambeau with a nice arrow beam gets it past Pudash into goal for 1-0 hand with dogs.
Yeah, really good positioning there from Flambeau, being able to receive that core cliff, not being able to move into space soon enough to shut down that passing play. And obviously, Pudash on the Atlas doesn't really have a lot of range anymore, especially with the primary change. Can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, another quick double barrier take from Pudad and Sons here, and it's being returned here by handless dogs, but this time it might be different with Pudash going in for a nice clear, but second barrier falls as well with the X Maximus pressure. That's a lot being put onto Pudad and Sons. Cliff vanishes Nikki Middleton away from the action. Wolfmang gets the combo from Cliff, puts it into the top right corner.
Yeah, both goals just kind of like clean positioning and passing play, just making use of the fact that maybe cooldowns are down on either of the goalies, and they can't really reach that open goal anymore. Barriers are looking kind of weak this time around as they're dropping really fast.
Absolutely, and it looks like another barrier taken with Cliff going over. Nice redirect from Wolfmang's Asher Shield, and Wolfmang trying to pressure Weston into using anything. Weston does use the flip to get the core out. And now it's Flambeau and Nikki Millen ready to bring down the pain. Pudash also uses the flip. Both goalies have no energy. Nikki Millen has an energy save, but cleared by Pudad and Sons. Both barriers remaining full on the side of Pudad and Sons as Wolfmang and Cliff look to get the barrier down, but a great clear from Weston as Nikki Millen pops the X Maximus again, looking to put on any sort of pressure. And Mr. Flambeau with an energy burst here. A strange roll from Taiko drums. Flambeau burns the flip, gets the clear. Pudash holds the barrier once again, and this time the barriers are looking pretty strong indeed as the barrier keep continues to hold, and Wolfmang flip kills Flambeau, almost gets the barrier, but Weston is on top of it as Nikki Miller tries to control that top lane. Pudash rotates to the bottom, but Phineas is there, and finally 1-1 barrier situation for handless dogs as well. It's been a long journey. Flambeau is back, ready to bring back pressure again as Nikki Millen kicks it to the corner and gets it through Pudash. Both barriers down. And goes in with a great redirect from Nikki Middleton here.
Yeah, Nikki Middleton finding that angle. The Pudash not really ready for it, covering that top corner. Probably was a bit worried as well about a potential maybe heavy engage by the X because the evade did come out. But important goal to be found. Putting him now just one goal away from taking his first set, which would do a lot for them in terms of momentum because it's a very like snowbally game if you're looking at something like stacks and stacks start.
Absolutely. Nikki Middleton with 150 stacks, she can be everywhere as this X. So speedy and so big. And Flambeau needing to get his stacks back again at 42 stacks. But we are seeing X Maximus come out and pop Pudash away. And this is a huge kill as potentially two barriers could fall from this power play. Nikki Middleton uses the flip, gets nothing out of it. But Cliff has a core flip ready to stall for Pudash, uses the flip, smartly taking it out, but the pressure is still on. Cliff dodges the kill potentially from the bell ringer as Weston and Flambeau trying to coordinate the barrier. Wolfmang almost gets a pick off of the barrier, but the clear is good for handless dogs as Weston and Flambeau gets core flip. Weston has to immediately burn it to get away from the pressure. And right now it's a double ban from Room. Doesn't get anything done with it, unfortunately. And now Wolfmang, both teams using their core flips endlessly to make sure that the core doesn't get into a weird place, especially in a map like Taiko Temple. And drums are coming down. And it looks like Mr. Flambeau trying to make sure that the core can go into a corner for Nikki Millen to get it, but unfortunately it's Wolfmang who has the end result here as they get the open net. It might be a 2-2 situation. Flambeau and Weston trying to tag team, but it was not enough as Wolfmang gets past the Finny into the goal.
Yeah, the Rune Pillar from Cliff doing a good job there at shutting down the angle. There was still an angle to kind of go around it, but that's difficult to land. And especially if the core hits in overtime into that pillar, it's going to go flying immediately. Wolfmang also being in place then to make use of that Asher, which is an important point for them because now they're putting us into a 0.5 situation. And again, there's got a lot of really strong awakenings up for grabs in this next draft. So you want to be winning this set and get the momentum going for you as early as possible.
Exactly, Nikki Middleton getting the core rotated to her, trying to make good use of the bottom corner, but Cliff is there and gets it out to Wolfmane. Wolfmane only one with energy in this lobby and doesn't have the shield, but if he gets it, he can get it past Weston, especially with that flip. Wolfmane burns the flip and does not get anything out of it, and the lower barrier goes down on the side of Pudad and Sons as Flambeau doing a valiant effort keeping the core away from Wolfmane's push. And Nikki Middleton here to kill Wolfmane, and she does with a decisive core flip here. Pushing with the Aeronado, gets it out. Pudad and Sons buying that precious time here as everything is used to get Nikki Middleton away from the core, and it kind of works, but Flambeau's still here. Maxwell's boost, trying to use the Tycho, but unfortunately not quite in sync, and Cliff having some great pillars here. Mr. Flambeau having to burn the core flip, but gets Pudash's top barrier here. Pudash not in position quite there, and the core continues to roll. Cliff's creations coming in clutch multiple times in this point alone, and Nash doing a great job holding the open barrier. Cliff uses the flip, gets the top barrier as well, and it's up to Weston and Flambeau to hold as Nikki Middleton pushing Wolfmane, trying to get a pick. This pick is going to be oh so valuable here, but I do believe Pudash might use the Atlas special as we push with the NATO, and Tycho a great angle, and Handless Dogs get that ever important first set, 3-2, very close over Pudad and Sons.
Yeah, that's really good for Endless Dogs because looking at the team comps overall, they are under much more pressure to play it more optimally because there's so much creation going on the side of Pudad and Sons, which you're going to have to play into properly. Going into this draft now, though, you have some really nice awakenings for a pickup. I wonder if the X might even just go to Specialize. No, it just goes to Big Fish. More size, more consistency, does a lot of work for you. Cliff being able to pick up among Titans is going to help a lot with mobility, but the Twin Drive being a solid deny and pickup for Affinity as well. Glass Cannon being very nice for Pudash, as it's just going to give you even more movement speed to work with. Maybe going to even allow this Atlas to walk up a little bit more, have a little bit more aggression to himself. But we'll see if it's going to come into play. The prime time also not to be underestimated for Mr. Flambeau there, because that's going to make that Arrow Beam that's oh so annoying to deal with even so much more stronger.
Absolutely, and Wolfmane will be never reached proper size, honestly, but it is Pudad and Sons who do get the first double barriers here. Weston playing close with fire, but worth it as he does get the core out for now. Wolfmane not able to score with just the area bearing him alone, but that dash will do it. Gets a kill onto Weston. Goodbye, and a nice second set start from Pudad and Sons.
Yeah, getting both barriers is so important for Pudad and Sons because it is so much easier to score on Affinity when she's trying to defend an open barrier, open goal, as compared to just holding a single barrier. So especially if you find angles like that where you can get both of them at the same time, you're going to be incredibly happy with it.
Yeah, it's been really nice redirect all around from Pudad and Sons. But honestly, Nikki Middleton and Flambeau, when they get to the corner, they're doing a really great job of playing against Rune Atlas combos. Lots of creations to play around with, but another good rotate from Pudad and Sons, but another great clear from Weston and Nikki Middleton here. Nikki Middleton burns the flip, uses it to get the core out, relieve some pressure, buy some time for Flambeau to get back. Cliff banishes Mr. Flambeau, and Nikki Middleton has to watch over him, make sure he doesn't get killed and get his stacks reset once again. And it's up to Weston trying to make sure to get the clear away, but that's such a tough one to clear out from. Weston doesn't manage to get the barrier, loses the top barrier, so it's 1-1 barrier situation again. Pudash and Cliff have energy. All three of Pudash's team members actually have very close to core flip here. And Wolfmane resets Flambeau stack on stacks once again. No more pancake for you. And Cliff has a core flip. Wolfmane also has a core flip, and they're going to use it here. X Maximus pop, but not enough as the core goes in. That's a swift 2-0 from Pudad and Sons.
If this keeps up, it's going to be a swift 3-0 because we're looking at two flips on the side of Pudad and Sons. We're looking at stacks that are completely reset on Mr. Flambeau there as well. They kind of have all the tools they would be wishing for here. And Handless Dogs definitely need to try to get some aggression out to get that goal going, get those barriers down before it's too late.
And once again, the barrier goes away from Handless Dogs very quickly at the start. And with a double banish there, that is indeed a very swift 3-0, 17-second set as we go into set 2 draft here.
Yeah, there's also I'm noticing Cliff is able to get a lot of rune pillars up that are not really contested, that are not disappearing. So if you are looking at the danger of those pillars, you might be worried if he can get any kind of cast duration on it, like Castellass. But obviously, Hotshot is everything we're looking at here, because Hotshot and Ruin's going to do so much more damage as well. It's going to keep the core in the side of Handless Dogs so much more consistently, and it's just so much more difficult to deal. And let's not even talk about the cooldown that's coming away from it. Heavy Impact, a solid pickup for the era for cooldowns, and again, another deny pick. And across the board, the Prizefighter has made its return, finding its way onto Wolfmang. And I do want to say, Wolfmang found a lot of KOs together with that 1-2 punch as well. So this could be a genuine concern going into this next set.
Yeah, absolutely, especially since Nicki Minilin and Flambeau are the ones who really want to find the kills against this creation comp here. And Wolfmang is brought down low, so I mean, this is a very stack-based setup that Wolfmang has going here, and it might be over if Wolfmang makes one wrong move. The Atlas special does save Wolfmang. Nicki Minilin stalls out the kill for as long as she can, but unfortunately the pillar was still there. Flambeau, nice dodge onto Wolfmang's kill. He was fishing for it, and once again, Cliff gets a very nice pillar in the corner. But Nicki Minilin clears it out this time. And Nicki Minilin just sharking around looking for picks. Wins the strike 4 against Cliff, but Cliff's pillar is there. Now can they get some damage on another team member of Pudad and Sons here? Looks like that's a lot of pressure on from the bottom left corner from Handless Dogs here, but the barrier still holds. Pudash is very, very strong. Wolfmang is brought low again. He does have 1 stack of evade. Going to get, oh my goodness, a double banish from the play. It's like could be the lower, but no, it flips away. What's the strike against Wolfmang? Flambeau wins the strike with Wolfmang, but not with Ash and Weston. Bro, very, very scary. Out of the bait, someone's out for come here. And Flambeau is going to be the one doing it as Weston heals up, stay in the top right corner. Make sure Wolfmang gets to it, but Wolfmang does strike it to the top corner up the net. Another one. Oh, who that had done?
It's really difficult for the combo of Handless Dogs really intercept these passes and do something about the pressure that's coming from Pudad and Sons here, because the core is just very consistently in the Handless Dogs, and as of right now, they don't necessarily have damage to just straight go and murder them and punished for being this one.
Yeah, Cliff, and with the purple, it gets the lower barrier. And another open net situation for this. Benny does not get here, uses the special out. But once again, it's back just very quickly into the Handless Dogs territory, and Nicki Minilin jumping everywhere, trying to be at all places at once, especially with that Super Surge dash. But it looks like gonna need a little more time for Handless Dogs to scale and put on that damage, and pushing with the Aeronado. But Cliff's pillars are lasting seemingly forever here. A great play around the Atlas Expanse, especially Nicki Minilin dashing in, popping Dex Maximus. Pudash forced to spend his core flip. Cliff also uses his primary as an insurance, and now Nicki Minilin has all the energy against this Pudash who burns his special as well, and Wolfmang dribbling onto Mr. Flambeau, but Nicki Minilin is on top of both Cliff and Pudash. It's very, very huge X here. The clutch banish from Cliff does not get any damage on Nicki Minilin. That's meaningful here, and Nicki Minilin gets the barrier. Weston will back it up. Now both teams have an open net. As we are looking with an Aeronado, Cliff cuts it off smartly with a primary, so Weston does rotate it around. That's a huge bell ringer again from X, and X dashes in with that Super Surge. Coming in from downtown, getting the goal in and equalizing third set, 1-1.
One of the few times where Super Surge X is actually a really solid pickup, because you're never really considering that dash distance to come into play, and when it does come into play, you're taken aback almost immediately. So really good point for the side of Handless Dogs as they try to get a lead in this current set going for themselves.
There are signs of life in Handless Dogs. If Wolfmang also uses a dash primary to try to kill Nicki Minilin without an evade, but Nicki Minilin does survive that, and now she is back. She is terrorizing Cliff and Pudash. Cliff forced to burn an ult, but it's barrier down for Pudad and Sons. Handless Dogs kind of turning the momentum onto their side as they look to get another corner offense here. Weston rotating around Flambeau. Cliff gets a great core flip, but Flambeau is there with the tornado, and both barriers still hold. And Wolfmang is struggling to get reach of the core this time, and if Wolfmang's not there, the offense cannot quite start. Stuns Weston, but Weston gets off the Benny triple take, and it holds the core once again, and both barriers still stand once more as Handless Dogs demonstrating this amazing defense, showing them why they're 2-0 here in Nasty currently. And Nicki Minilin here with the X Maximus, and just as Cliff's pillar runs out, Nicki Minilin comes in, uses the flip, gets the second barrier, open that situation for Handless Dogs here, and this is a point that they're going to really want to secure because they expanded all their resources. Wolfmang is kicked off the field as his Prizefighter stacks are reset now. And it's Nicki Minilin and Flambeau controlling both lanes, controlling it with the NATO. A great redirect. Unfortunately, Pudash is on top of it. And then Nicki Middleton and Flambeau using the Taiko Temple to their advantage, and that's the Era Beam getting the core in. 2-1 handless dogs on set 3.
Also, the Era beam change there came in clutch, because if we're thinking about old Era there, the core was almost about to go outside of the range of the Era beam there. Just the fact that that 0.1 second that beam procs sooner now was actually the difference maker, that Mr. Flambeau was still able to get that core and get that goal going now. So handless dogs looking to be in a really strong position now. They do want to find this set, and I mean, you can see it, they're taking the first barrier already.
And Nicki Middleton absolutely massive with this big fish pickup. Every time she does her X Maxima, she can cover, she can outstrike any character on the field right now. And another great room banish from Cliff. Unfortunately, both Nicki Middleton and Flambeau can survive it. There was no follow-up here. And Wolfman gets a nice stun on the Flambeau, but Weston on top of it. Weston has full energy as well, and they're going to push with that Aeronado here straight into Pudash's face as the bell ringer coming in. Pudash trying to get it out of the corner, making it extremely difficult as handless dogs here. As Weston does lose a barrier, 1-1 barrier situation here. And Pudash, great rotation. Weston with the read onto triple take, and that's a huge Nicki Middleton once again with the arrow beam, trying to get through Pudash. Pudash uses his expanse here, and coming in with the Asher Shield, rotating it around once again. Both teams very, very on point, especially on Taiko, which is such a small enclosed map. They're doing really great here. Nicki Middleton protecting Flambeau from danger. Cliff has to step away, cannot get a kill. I mean, getting these pancake stacks intact is crucial. Barrier open for Pudad and Sons now. All they have to do is strike the rock in, and that's 2-2 now. A welcome break from Pudad and Sons.
Sometimes Psycho Temple will just have those angles, and Pudad and Sons incredibly happy about finding that, because they didn't really have to use a flip for it. Pudash has a flip, Wolfman is close to getting one. They have two members of them also at full stacks, although the side of Handless Dogs is all three of them fully up, so it's gonna come down to now execution and just kind of setup, and curious to see who's gonna be taking this third set, as it's incredibly close already.
Very, very close, looking very nice. Nicki Middleton kicks Cliff off. No more stacks for you, buddy. And it's okay because Nicki Middleton is going in, but Pudash is holding, and Nicki Middleton wins the strike war against the Atlas here. And it's a slowed, an unpowered Wolfman here with the Era Beam and that primetime era coming in so well, and so much pressure can be put on through the Handless Dogs. But Wolfman coming in with Cliff. Oh, the core slips through though. And unfortunately, the pressure is back again. And Wolfman comes back to the bottom right side, but Weston managed to find a clear. And now Handless Dogs flipping back. I mean, Taiko Temple is just so much offense coming in from both sides at the same time. And Cliff, what a great primary pillar. Gets the core, gets the net open for Pudad and Sons. And against Taiko Temple, anything can happen here. Flambeau has energy, saves it potentially to secure something. And that's a barrier open. Flambeau is rushing in with the flip, with the beam, with the X Maximus, misses the core flip here. Unfortunate situation, and Pudash rescues Cliff. But the Era Beam comes in, once again clutch. Mastery at the hands of Mr. Flambeau here, as the ever-important third set goes to Handless Dogs here.
An absolute great or beautiful primary just coming out there, predicting where the core is going to go and just shutting down that clear angle, as they're going to be rewarded with another draft. Potentially some more size again on the X here, just to make this pick so much more oppressive to be dealing with. Goes for the extra special, which also makes sense, right? You don't want Atlas to have ultimate all the time. You are X, you love yourself an X Maximus. As the second spark comes out from Pudash, a spark of agility, you focus now, by the way, on Atlas. A lot of cooldowns, a lot of speed, together with glass cannon stacks and stacks, is going to have a lot of value. Team player going to help with getting the core up front for the side of Mr. Flambeau here, as the remaining three picks. The Adrenaline Rush probably a neat pickup overall. The size on Wolfman is going to do quite a bit of work though, because this Asher is going to get even more difficult to get past, but you can just also kill her. I guess that's also fine.
My goodness, there was absolutely no time for Pudash to react with the special, as Nicki Middleton just runs in, pops all the skills, and gets Wolfman off the field. And Cliff is looking lower already, and Pudash needs to use his special to save Cliff, to make sure, and the power plays always seem to be in favor of Handless Dogs starting set 3 here, but Wolfman definitely is a lot bigger now with those double size awakenings here, and manages to use a dash, but core finds itself in Wolfman's hands, and into the net it goes.
Yeah, Asher close range, not much you can do about it, especially if you're on Finny. You might need, you almost have to be an Atlas to really be dealing with an Asher close range like that, and Wolfman just really took advantage of that situation and was able to force it past the sort of frail defense that a Finny can muster.
Mr. Flambeau beams, as soon as Mr. Flambeau beams Nicki Middleton, Nicki Middleton matches Wolfman in size, and that's a huge X again. Once again with the X Maximus, a clutch double room banish here from Cliff. I mean, this is a very nice hold coming in from Weston, using the primary to get it out of Wolfmang's hands, and now Cliff must deliver the core away from the net, but at the cost of his life. The special not quite there in time, as Cliff does die, and Wolfmang now spends the flip, and that's a delicious looking Asher here, and Nicky Middleton, no matter, wins the strike core against Pudash, gets it through. Handless Dogs 1-1.
The damage is just continuing to scale, and it's starting to find its way. Mr. Flambo and Nicky Middleton just working so much better together, making use of that X and Era combo that they've been struggling to use at the beginning, because they're just continuously finding the proper buffs and finding the damages and KOs to create power plays for themselves, because at the beginning they didn't find that at all, and that made it so much more difficult for them to play this out.
Yeah, super good combination, but this might be a great kill onto Flambeau, but the Taiko drum saves Mr. Flambeau. Era on the drums, a clutch expanse from Pudash, saving the top barrier, but it's still pressure on Nicky Middleton, using that X Maximus almost immediately at start of set, gets in a lot more consistent damage here, and Pudash spends his special again, and now Nicky Middleton, as soon as it's over, X Maximusing onto Wolfmang, so much cooldown that Nicky Middleton can use, especially with that Happy Star pickup. And oh, nice clear out using the Era special as well. And yeah, all three of Handless Dog players look to be in sync as Nicky Middleton rotates over to Mr. Flambeau. The beam not quite enough, and this time it's the creations of Cliff making sure that the clear happens on the side of Pudad and Sons. And Wolfmang gets on top of the Finny. Nice ult from Weston. Triple take not quite there. And now, oh, another great clear from Weston. And the top barrier holds for both teams, but not if Cliff's primary there gets a hold of the core here. And a little bit scary moment there combined with Flambeau's Storm, but they managed to get it out, managed to redirect it. Pudash has to use his flip, and both teams, I mean, is dealing with a super red core here on overtime, and it might be Wolfmang who gets the best of Weston. And while Wolfmang stuns Weston, Cliff gets a great primary. Time and time again, this primary has come in clutch. It's 2-1, Pudad and Sons.
Yeah, all these pillars just shutting down the clears that the side of Handless Dogs want to be going for makes it a bit more difficult for them to play out. However, they do have a great energy situation still, but it might not even come to play because two players are immediately down at the goal as well. Oh man.
My goodness, that looked like a set that might go the distance until it really didn't. Flambeau burned his core flip, and it's still the core still went in despite that.
Yeah, and something that is now a bit worrying, right? Because again, these rune pillars, they're up for a long time. They're not really being denied that consistently. So either you can go the route of Timeless, where you just have them be present even more, or you go Monumentalist, where you have so much more area to work with. And Cliff opted for the Monumentalist here, which makes a lot of sense. Fight or Flight gonna help Flambeau as a speed up, bulk up, a solid pickup for Asher. Not really gonna change much. The Stinger's gonna help a bit more with the damage output as well. As a Timeless creator gets denied off the Atlas, but honestly, Pudash with all of the movement speed that he's already working with, together with a missile propulsion as well now, can actually be create a lot of offensive pressure as well to be playing through with this Atlas, which could be that little bit of extra pressure that's gonna push the core into the net on the side of Handless Dogs.
Yeah, Nicky with the X Maximus pushing Wolfmang off of a pressure play, and now this time they turn the tables onto Pudad and Sons, getting the double barrier first. And yeah, Cliff has been making wonders with this Monumentalist, but Weston's so cool with it. Gets the core away from the barrier at the nick of time, and Mr. Flambeau here trying to collaborate with Nicky Middleton. They have the angles wide open here. Pudad did use his expanse, did he use his primary? All they have to do is get it to them now. Mr. Flambeau working to get the beams in, and Cliff stalling the core out very, very well. Even gets the full-sized rune pillar off, and Wolfmang now is pressuring Weston as well as a good double banish from Cliff, and a Super Surge X is very, very scary, cutting off the pass angle, but Pudash is wise to it and makes sure that doesn't happen. But Cliff goes out of the field, and now power play on the side of the Handless Dogs. And oh, what a clutch strike shot, what a clutch expanse. Pudad is clearing these. Wolfmang trying to make sure that the passes are cut. Nicky Middleton gets her hands on the core, but Mr. Flambeau making sure that the core stays in play into the corner. Nicky Middleton wins the strike war 2v1 into the corner, and now it is 1-0 Handless Dogs in this final set.
A lot of this game is kind of just coming down to strike war interactions. A lot of goals were just clean strike war wins, and I feel like that's where it's going to be a do or die to this at this point, because both team comps have strong attacks, strong defenses as well, and they're executing them well as well on either side. So it's going to come down to the small interactions. Who's going to be more consistent at winning these strike wars? Or, I mean, again, you can also just take them out. Nicky Middleton's just a menace.
Absolutely crazy plays from the Handless Dogs as Weston gets a follow-up KO onto Cliff. Atlas was too dead to do anything there, but Mr. Flambeau uses the flip, but Pudash had the expanse and now pushing with the NATO. Quick 2-0 this time on the side of Handless Dogs, and every time someone dies in this game, they lose their stack of pancakes, they lose their speed, and this time it's been Cliff and Pudash taken off the field.
Handless Dogs are just one goal away at this point, by the way. Just taking this first game. It was very back and forth continuously, but we'll see if they're going to be able to close it out. They do have every tool in the book to really make it work, just because they have all of the movement speed advantages.
And Axe Maximus getting it past Pudash, once again taking the barrier. These burst barriers have been going down like hotcakes, and there you go, Nicky Middleton burns the flip for the second barrier as well, but working with an open net is going to be so much better for Handless Dogs as well. Weston smartly waits out everything in Asher's arsenal except for the shield, unfortunately, and now Pudad and Sons equalize it. That room pillar is scary, but the triple take is there to deny it. Nicky Middleton not quite big enough to take that strike, and now with Flambeau's NATO trying to get it out of here, but Pudash with that Missile Pro empowered primary Atlas. Nicky Middleton trying to walk on top of Pudad. Cliff is so low. Pudash saves Cliff with the special, and now it's Flambeau and Weston trying to work its way. Cliff is tiny-fied, but Wolfmang trying to get it through Weston, and he does! Weston preemptively evades as well, but Wolfmang, great redirect, gets the core in the net. 1-2.
A lot of defenses for Handless Dogs worked out due to Weston being incredibly patient on his strikes, and Wolfmang starting to kind of catch on to that, just waiting it out at that point, just being aware like, hey, the core's already going into your net at this point, I don't have to act, I can wait until you do something. And in the end, the core was even so close to the net that he said, you know what, I don't even need to wait anymore, because if I just touch that and move it a millimeter, it's just already in.
At some point, you can't wait, and Wolfmang trying to find a pick onto Nicky Middleton, but Nicky Middleton gets that clutch evade off, and Weston throwing it around to Mr. Flambeau. Both Cliff and Pudash tried to intercept that, but it does not work out. And Flambeau here almost with energy here. Nicky Middleton dashing in, getting the arrow beam proc, and she becomes so big and so strong here, and the bell ringer threatening Cliff once again here off the map. And a great dodge on DREKAR from Cliff. If he got hit by it, it could have been very disastrous, but now he has no energy. But even so, Cliff is putting on pressure, gets the double banish off onto Mr. Flambeau. Mr. Flambeau, who has the flip, does not use it for the first barrier here. Can be used. This is such a great tool that he has right now. It's the tool that only he has in the lobby at this moment. Nicky Middleton using the X Maximus once again, getting herself huge. Doesn't need to pick up size awakenings. If you can make yourself bigger with X Maximus, and now both members of Handless Dogs have the core flip potential. Oh, a great expanse from Pudash blocking the lower barrier, making sure the barrier holds, and that's going to be so important, especially because Flambeau has a follow-up flip here. It could be very, very dangerous. Flambeau uses the flip, waits out the Monumentalist barrier, but does not manage to get it, and Wolfmang gets a pick onto Nicky Middleton, finally returning the favor, and coming in. Unfortunately, the shield does grief him a little there, but now he uses the flip, and Weston might be forced to use his flip in a dangerous situation. Uses the flip on, and that was very good. Waiting out everything and make sure that the clear comes out. Nicky Middleton is back, and she has vengeance in her mind as Weston and Wolfmang do a little dance here, but Weston comes out on top as the red core still goes in, and Nicky Middleton returns the favor onto Wolfmang this time. These two brawlers have been going at each other, and now another clutch 0.3 second arrow beam clutching out the victory for Handless Dogs. A great set 5 game. Handless Dogs go out 1-0 against Pudad and Sons.
A special shout out to Weston there, holding that last barrier so well, continuously getting the strikes past the attack from the side of Pudad and Sons. Incredibly difficult to find these strike timings, but he was just able to lock it down and make sure that the barrier doesn't drop. And together with that as well, all of the damage that comes out as well. I highlighted the air and the X during the game itself. But the Finny damage, close to 50k, obviously that Deadeye, those twin drives, they're gonna do a lot of damage with time. So even though the core control was mainly being picked up by the side of Mr. Flambeau and Nicky Middleton, the Weston had such a large part in dealing damage and just making sure that those 9 KOs can be found on that X.
Absolutely wonderful stat line from from entirety of Handless Dogs. Yeah, combined they have well over 100k damage, and Mr. Flambeau and Nicky Millen both have 5 goals and 4 assists each. I mean, are these forward duos crazy or what? And yeah, absolutely. And Flambeau might not, Weston might not have had the number of redirects as the other members, but yeah, he ensured that the damage was continuing to get put on. Pudad having to spend his special in every situation that he can, and making sure that Nicky Millen can get those 9 KOs despite an Atlas. Yeah, great first game from Handless Dogs.
Going into game 2, we're on AtLab now with Timeless Creator and Primetime Starter. We're seeing Primetime across the board here, with the exception of Nicky Millen playing that Dubu forward with Timeless here. Trying to attack the wall of Atlas, which just being another wall in this Dubu as well. We'll see how well it's going to go.
Absolutely, and once again, this is Pudad and Sons taking the first barrier, taking second barrier very quickly. This has been a trend last game as well, with Pudad and Sons getting the first 2 barriers at the start. But Nicky Millen's Dubu, once she gets into the face of the Atlas, she can make things happen, especially once she hits level 2 and gets that wall, using the black hole to get closer to the action quickly. And Mako holds against the Zentaro, but not as longer as Cliff hits level 2, uses that second ability, and Wolfmane stuffs it through with the primary past Weston.
Weston almost got that save as well, but it's a bane of every goalie's existence, is that little stretch in the goal where you just hit it and you can try to go for Soren angles. He just didn't try to go for a Soren angle. He tried to clear it out, but hit it either way. So a bit unfortunate, but Pudad and Sons, even though they lost the first game, really here to fight.
Absolutely, yeah, and they take another quick 2 barriers again, as Nicky Millen desperately trying to get some kind of thing onto the goal here. And Wolfmane has to retreat to the Atlas special, making sure that he gets his health up. Same cannot be said for Nicky Millen, though, because this is a slow Dubu. Oh, but Wolfmane hits Nicky Millen into the orb and gives Nicky Millen energy, but no matter, Cliff. A great core flip into the bottom left corner. Weston going for the primary, but Wolfmane tanks it with his body, letting the core through.
Yeah, not a lot he can do. And I feel like as well, it's going to be a bit difficult for Nicky Millen to stay on this map, by the way, because Dubu is not necessarily known for staying alive.
Dubu with a base stagger super high. Unfortunately, does not have the speed, and then the size just makes him a great target. Mr. Flambeau waiting smartly for the Dubu special to go away before making his strike. But maybe he did concede too much ground here as Wolfmane looks to take the second barrier again. Zentaro special keeping the core afloat, and Weston has to use his flip. Gets it away from Wolfmane, who uses the primary. Millen trying to walk up using the wall and gets it through, and that's the power of the Dubu forward here. Flambeau has to jump for it. Oh, misses the strike. Everyone's missing everything here. It's okay. Flambeau has a core flip. Weston getting to the core just in time. Handless Dogs making it look risky, but does get the core out. Pudad just going to rotate the core away from Nicky Millen. And the black hole usage from Handless Dogs making sure... Oh, something happened. And I don't think that was what Weston was looking to do.
I think Weston, just as patient as he is, was like, oh, I'll just wait a bit. I want to see if the DREKAR shotgun comes out early. And then it eventually just realized, wait, the core's too far gone already. Happens. What can he do? First set going towards Pudad and Sons here, as they're rewarded with a draft where they have 3 sparks in it already, by the way, so that's not going to be any high prior for anyone, as Fighter Flight finds its way onto Cliff, going to help with that mobility. 1-2 punch, a scary awakening to give over to Juno, though, might help a ton with getting core over to the other side, as an aerials pickup is also great for Weston here. So even though the draft was lost by this, or the set was lost for Handless Dogs, I feel like they're going into this draft incredibly happy and coming out of it incredibly happy.
Yeah, absolutely. What a wonderful break from Handless Dogs. Yeah, 1-2 punch on Juno, as well as aerials on Mako is very, very scary here. Nicky Millen does get the short end of the stick, though, but I mean, Dubu's not really here to do awakenings. They're just here to put up walls here anyway, and put up walls they do as they get the lower barrier here. And Pudad clearing through Wolfmane, dashing through 2 people and almost getting the top barrier, but Weston does clear it out. Nicky Millen and Flambeau trying to find their positionings as they try to siege this top barrier here, but Cliff is on it with the shotgun. Log is out, roll is out now. Mr. Flambeau gets it back to Nicky Millen, and waiting, Wolfmane trying to get a pick onto Nicky Millen, unfortunately dodges very, very well from Nicky Millen. Flambeau jumps up to the top, tries to get the core into the core, but that's what Expanse is for, and this black hole is up. Cliff has to be really, really dangerous trying to walk towards it and contest. Just like that, Nicky Millen is waiting with everything, and there we go. The Dubu wall is up. Tofu Fortress creates the terrain needed to take down the top barrier. Slow and methodical are the Handless Dogs. Weston perhaps a bit late on this core flip, and Wolfmane contests and wins just like that. Pudad and Sons are up 1-0 on the second set as well.
Yeah, Weston there also really difficult to work with Wolfmane, because if Wolfmane is continuously making sure that this Mako secondary gets cancelled, so the aerials don't really come into effect, even using the ultimate beforehand just to make sure that the Mako ultimate goes away, which is so effective, because without the speed up, Mako is just kind of a lockdown goalie, which is still not bad, right? But it's not going to be enough for you to just completely win out a movement game in that midfield area. As another goal gets found, they're in their groove.
Very good momentum from Pudad and Sons as they get 5 points simultaneously, but maybe this is the momentum change that Handless Dogs need as a Blobbo gets double barriers here, and the Blobbo almost gets it past Pudash. Pudash does clear, thankfully, for Pudad and Sons here, as Weston concedes the first barrier. It's a double core flip situation from Pudad and Sons, and Nicky burns the core flip to answer, and they do get to clear out. The black hole is coming up again, and this time it's Flambeau trying to turn the tides of the battle as Nicky Middleton gets the rebound through Pudash. And yeah, much needed signs of life from Handless Dogs here.
Yeah, it's a first goal for them as well. So it's important that they can find goals like that, because if you're going like 3-0 in the first 2 sets, it's not going to be great for your mental and your momentum. So incredibly important goal there for the side of Handless Dogs, that they're trying to find a second one as well.
The Handless Dogs suddenly look like a completely different team, especially since Nicky Millen started marking Wolfmane instead of the opposite, and now Flambeau equalizes the set. Very quick game set point there from Mr. Flambeau here. The Blobos are doing a lot of work, and yeah, Nicky Middleton countering Wolfmane's dashes with her own dash. Looking a lot better here from the Dugu as well. So we're seeing continuing play here. Wolfmane looks to get a really sharp double barrier off, and he does. With the Zentaro passive up, he can do a lot with his projectile, looking to save that projectile for DREKAR to send it to him. He has to use it there, tries to juke Weston, angle not quite there. The black hole is up for both teams to play around. It looks like it's going to be Pudash who clears it through, and Cliff gets the kill onto Mr. Flambeau, but the Blobos still do things even if the pilot is gone. And well, with the kill from Nicky Middleton's Tofu Fortress, then now both teams are at a 2v2 situation, and a double goalie making things work down here for on the side of Handless Dogs here, as Mr. Flambeau is back 2 seconds later. Zentaro will be back too, and there he is. Wolfmane is back, has his cooldowns, but once again taken off the field by a Dugu dash. Just a stray somersault, taking Zentaro off the map. Once again, a great redirect from the Juno Blobbo, but Pudash is on top of it, burns the flip. Weston with a nail to the primary, and Nicky Middleton following up with the log, and the core goes in, and a 1-1 equalizer from the side of Handless Dogs.
Incredible that they were able to find that. It feels really weird as well, because the Dubu just overall on a map like this just feels clunky, but it works out so well because it's so difficult to be going through here. And Nicky Middleton is also going to get rewarded here with a missile propulsion, which is going to be again a deny of the Atlas, and also going to make that ultimate so much more effective for the Dubu here. Super Surge is also going to enable Mr. Flambeau so much to be more mobile across the map with that extra range. And again, another deny pick of the Zentaro as well. That I is all a pickup for Weston, because they have been continuously finding damage as well and KOs. So overall, again, another draft where Handless Dogs just kind of got the better options overall.
Yeah, and Wolfmane is a huge Zentaro, actually, as a huge a little Oni boy can be, I guess. And especially with Cliff taking Among Us as well, Among Titans as well, making sure that Wolfmane gets a huge size awakening, and potentially this can get Nicky Middleton in size here. But again, open barrier for Pudad and Sons. Nicky Middleton here trying to get their second barrier for Handless Dogs as well. And Dugu has to rotate away, trying to get the orb. Mr. Flambeau just punches through with everything he has. All the Blobos, all the rolls. Cliff, great shotgun pass. Nicky Middleton uses the special, but that proves to be the undoing as the core just slips by. 1-0, Handless Dogs really coming back with a vigor.
Yeah, they find the angle there. A little bit unfortunate for Cliff to not properly react to the core there and having it go through, but the Pudad and Sons still have a lot of energy to be working with. So even though they're down 1 goal in this current set, they're going to have a lot more flips to be working with, which is, it kind of makes up for the fact that you're down a goal currently.
True, all 3 members have flips currently, and Handless Dogs looking to force at least one of them off a flip, and it's going to be Pudash, but there goes Wolfmane after the black hole, and now Cliff is low. Pudash does use the special, making sure Cliff at least can maintain his core flip here. It's very, very vital for Pudad and Sons to ensure that they can get this point off, because it's going to snowball very, very quickly. I mean, Flambeau's Labos have been everywhere so far, and Weston holding his own against Wolfmane. Wolfmane has to use his dash to get away, making sure his stagger is back, and it's Cliff and Pudash fighting against Mr. Flambeau. Great core flip from both, but Cliff gets shot by Weston from across the field. It's Ariel's Mako power, I guess, and now it's power play again for Handless Dogs here with the roll almost taking Pudash off the field. A super dangerous moment right now for Pudad and Sons, and Cliff misses the core. Pudash, great expanse, but pressure is still on for Handless Dogs despite using all these cooldowns. Nicky Middleton is finding all these angles, winning all these strike wars, and Flambeau almost gets it through Pudash, but a great save from the Atlas here. And a nice Centauro special from Wolfmane, trying to keep the pressure on. And this is Centauro with his passive up, gets a great angle off of Weston, but now he is locked into the baby cage for the foreseeable future. Here he goes. Nice dash blocked by Nicky Middleton. And now Weston has a flip. Nicky Middleton almost with a flip. This could be a really nice Handless Dog situation here. If Weston doesn't let the core through just like that, uses the flip away from Wolfmane. Nicky Middleton making sure Wolfmane cannot get his hands on that, and a great Tofu Fortress used defensively. The core is going super quickly, especially with that 1-2 punch Juno from Mr. Flambeau. A stray core could do a lot of damage here against Pudad and Sons. And Nicky Middleton just using the black hole to kind of transport her places, especially with Dubu's big stagger is very funny to watch. The great clear from Weston. Wolfmane trying to juke it around, but Flambeau is there. But Weston gets it into the hands of Wolfmane, who doesn't make sure that the core goes in.
Yeah, Weston has been holding on to that point for so long, and also he gets a lot of value with those primaries, with that primetime aerials and Deadeye, finding KOs, finding damage so consistently on this Mako, which makes it actually so much better than I kind of anticipated going into this game as well. So it's turning into kind of a game of like, what's gonna happen first, which defense is gonna break first, because both the Mako and the Atlas have just such strong defenses, and they're playing it so well as well currently.
Yeah, Flambeau doing a great job of keeping Wolfmane low, and Mr. Flambeau uses his secondary to make sure that Cliff has to strike through the slime. And yeah, and so Cliff's core flip doesn't take a barrier, as Cliff brought dangerously close to the edge by Nicky Middleton's roll here, as Handless Dogs lose a barrier each, but they're keeping the pressure on here, and Wolfmane trying to make sure the Mako doesn't get her drums going, her secondary going, but so far, Mr. Flambeau and Nicky Middleton really in the driver's wheel here with the core. And Wolfmane trying to get it through Weston. Weston holds once again, and Flambeau gets it through the midfield, rotates it with Nicky Middleton. A nice Juno jump followed by a great redirect from Nicky Middleton, getting it through Pudad and Sons defense.
Really great intercept with that jump, making use of that extra range you get from Super Surge, and giving that extra bit of annoyance to be dealing with, because if you are the side of Pudad and Sons, you have so much that you need to be watching out for. You have that Dubu ultimate like that, that's just going to be such a nuisance to really be dealing with. You have to try to get past a Mako defense that's also continuously just taking you incredibly low, and if that in and of itself isn't enough, you have a Juno with 1-2 punch that can basically jump across the entire map at a moment's notice. So they have a lot of quick, small mistakes that they can make, which they want to be avoiding as much as possible.
Yeah, there's so many things for Pudad and Sons to think about. Nicky Middleton just ran rolling onto Wolfmane, and even that's just so dangerous as Dubu's doing some damage. And this angle that we've seen time and time again from Handless Dogs, just waiting for the Dubu wall to come up just like that, and it can get it through. But potentially this Missile Pro actually, I think, messing up the Dubu special. The walls have not been as crisp on the other few sets that they've been on. But Weston holds against Wolfmane. Cliff has to use his flip and equalizing the set 2-2 for Pudad and Sons.
2-2, but no real aggressive flip potential for the side of Pudad and Sons. You do have Atlas that's close to flip, but that's mainly going to be a defensive flip used. To be honest, same thing on Handless Dogs. They don't have a lot of flips they're working with, especially as Mr. Flambeau used an evade there to stay alive. So we'll see who's going to find it. A lot of attacks coming through already.
Yeah, and the start of it is Pudad and Sons. This is where they're comfortable at. They took both barriers at the start. Handless Dogs have to hold an open net against this Centauro combo, but a quick core speed coming in. Wolfmane is almost brought down, and he does go down actually. And now power play on the side of Handless Dogs. Things can turn on its head so quickly. Nicky Middleton just refueling with the orb, coming back to join the action. Cliff is putting in work to ensure that Pudash is protected at all costs. And they make sure they buy time for Wolfmane to come up, and a great redirect, but Weston slaps Wolfmane out from getting control of the core, and now it's defensive special from Mr. Flambeau with the black hole up. The core can be anywhere. Great speed onto the core, making sure Pudad has to use special, and Weston clears, but Wolfmane is there, and Pudad and Sons lead set 2-1 now.
You can see the frustration on Weston, and then there again, he hit that funny little corner there, tried to clear it up, but it just bounces down directly into Wolfman's hands. But that is just how it happens sometimes. There's not much you can do about it, as they are now going to go down 2-1 in sets. We do have another draft in our hands, and Hotshot finding its way into Atlas is going to help a lot with keeping the core away from his barriers. Twin Drive, solid pickup for the Juno. Again, you saw how much that Super Search was doing. If you're going to have that twice as much now, it's going to be a lot more difficult as well to be dealing with, as more damage and survivability finds its way onto Pudad and Sons. Curious to see how well that's going to make a difference. As the Orb Replicator pickup is actually going to come through for Nicky Minilan, probably playing into the energy economy there a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this was a really good draft from Pudad and Sons this time. Handless Dogs finally finding themselves on potentially like the short end of the stick on the draft. But Juno with Twin Drive might be really annoying here, especially with Super Surge Flambeau. But yeah, great rotate from Mr. Flambeau into the hands of Nicky Minilan, as they really prefer to take this lower barrier first and then rotate it up to the top using the Dubu walls here. Weston concedes the lower barrier here, as they're all three of the Handless Dogs trying to get through with the Sad Boys angle coming out here. And the black hole is open for Pudash to rotate around, but the speed from the Mako just giving a lot of maneuverability to Handless Dogs, and Nicky Minilan just forces it through with her log, and she even has flip here, waits out the shotgun, and in it goes.
Really good angle, really good usage of the flip there as well, making sure you get the goal right then and there and have Mr. Flambeau's flip up for the next point here. Wolfman will have a flip available as well, so maybe there's some funny double barrier angles here as a Sad Boys angle comes out, and the attack is building yet again for the side of Handless Dogs.
Another quick 2 barriers down. Mr. Flambeau does miss his flip, but yeah, another Mako speed up, especially with an aerials powered one. Weston making sure the barrier stays down this time, but Wolfman dashing in here. Weston has to use his flip. Great clear out from flip, and Mr. Flambeau just jumping in, almost stuns Pudash out. But this time it's going to be Pudad and Sons answering with 2 barriers of their own, and Nicky Minilan cuts the pass, but the car special coming in. Weston clutch clears right now, but Pudash is continuing the pressure for Pudad and Sons here as the black hole comes up, and Cliff immediately clears it, giving some more maneuverability for themselves. And Nicky Minilan coming in with the wall, forcing Pudash to clear up, and Flambeau just dashes in. They were waiting for this all their lives. It's just a 2-0 on the 4th set for Handless Dogs.
And what an annoying situation for Pudash as well. He can't play it into the wall because it's just going to go bounce back at you. So you try to go up top, but then the Super Surge range is just going to be enough for Mr. Flambeau to go and catch that core. Now, Handless Dogs looking to hopefully take the set in a 3-0 fashion. We'll see if they can pull through with it.
A great double barrier play again from Handless Dogs, and Nicky Minilan rolling in. This is ever so scary. Pudash does have the abilities to answer for that log though, and it's Weston passing to Nicky Minilan over and over again here. And Wolfman, each time he comes back, this time he gets a great rotate. Another Sad Boys angle is happening all the time here. And Nicky Minilan coming in with the log. Mr. Flambeau has dash. This is a twin drive Juno, and the logs kill Pudash. And it might go away here, and Flambeau does not have anything to answer for Cliff's great clear, especially with that DREKAR special coming out, slowing down everybody. Weston slightly misses a primary, and that's a very nice redirect from Wolfman. Mr. Flambeau dashes, misses. Wolfman here putting on a lot of pressure onto Mr. Flambeau. Mr. Flambeau is heavily damaged, does not want to be in the action quite yet. And that black hole is making wonders for the redirect from Mr. Flambeau. Nicky Minilan unfortunately misses the dash, and that could have been right there, but the Juno with all the strikes and the slimes dashing in 3-0 for Handless Dogs as they make it close again as we go into the 5th set.
Yeah, they found the formula again with just setting up Nicky Minilan to do all of the Dubu work, and that 3-0 set gets rewarded immensely because every single time that Dubu ultimate came through, it was such a menace to deal with, and now there's an extra special on this Dubu. Now you're going to have to deal with that ability on every single kickoff. You get a team player to get maybe more efficient clears out, but I don't think that's going to make the difference, especially as Mr. Flambeau also gets more speed as his own pickup there. Zentara's going to be able to pick up a Dash Awakening, which is going to help a bit with mobility versatility and also some damage, because KOs have been found, but they haven't really been found consistently enough to really make the difference, as the remaining 2 pickups are coming down to kind of the best of the rest.
It could be an Unchained Zentaro we see here, as that extra special does add mobility, but right now it's all Mr. Flambeau here as his slime army wreaking havoc here, and Cliff is brought down so low without evade, immediately healed up. But I mean, with the Dubu roll bringing so much burst power for the handless dogs, it might be really hard. Weston waiting out Wolfmang's dash very smartly, repositions his strikes so that he can get the clear up. And right now trying to get the core through Weston. Once again, it seems so impossible, as Weston this time using his Empowered Primary to get the clear out, but 3rd time's charm as Wolfmang does finally take the barrier down. It's open goal. Weston evades and clears once again, and Cliff almost taking Nicky Millen off the field there, but the Dubu wall is down. The push is up. And Handless Dogs, they own that bottom right corner, but this time it's Cliff making sure that the action doesn't happen. And Weston and Flambeau, great tag team here, as they manage to get the clear off of. This is a energy this is Wolfmang with energy. If he gets that dash off, this might be a checkmate for Weston, and Wolfmang not choosing to conserve his energy for now. And there we go, he uses the flip, but Mr. Flambeau clears it before the core could be there. And now Nicky Millen once again, this is so much value off the extra special Dubu wall coming down time and time again, and this is Flambeau with a flip this time, a double flip used, Flambeau and Pudash, and Pudash wins that flip war and gets the core out. And Nicky Millen kicking the core in deep, and they just might play methodically again until the Dubu gets the strike again. Drekar goes camo, can't see him, but the Mako ult, well placed. Make sure that Cliff can't wreak as much havoc, but the pass to Wolfmang into the redirect to the bottom left corner, Weston could not react to it. Could not get there in time as a Mako, honestly, as well. So great start for Pudad and Sons on this final set.
Incredibly important timing there as well for Cliff to find that flip and real nice redirect from Wolfmang, because I think there was the 4th Dubu ult coming up again, because Nicky Millen was positioning to just completely shut down Pudash's defense there. So you do want to be finding these goals as quickly as possible and take advantage of these downtimes on that Dubu ultimate, because it's just so difficult to really dealing with that ability.
Nicky Millen, great setups on the Dubu ults, even just using it at the start of the set. And start a point, and then getting a lot of value out of it, like Wolfmang using the dash and getting countered by the Dubu wall instantly, and Nicky's just like, okay, that's fine. Like, we'll set up our offense later. It's just once again the Dubu coming out with the Missile Pro enhanced as well, and Flambeau getting some slime setting up, but this time it might be Wolfmang as he comes in with the slashes. Weston's so good with the clears though, and offense on again for Pudad and Sons. Cliff gets the shotgun off of Weston, redirects it at an angle so that the shotgun will not affect it, and this is a slime and a log coming in. Wolfmang with the flip, Nicky Millen gets it, and now redirect Weston, great primary, knocks the core out of Cliff's hands here, and Wolfmang trying to redirect again. I mean, this is such value onto the team player, I believe, and oh, a great Mako ult as well. Nicky Millen rotating down, this is where they belong, this is where they're comfy at. Handless Dogs here with all their creations. This might be another Dubu ult, there it is, but not there in time was Flambeau, and 2-0 from Pudash. This is match point here for Pudad and Sons. They might equalize the score 1-1.
I feel like the killer here is the fact that Nicky Millen doesn't have anything in terms of movement, because you can see quite often the defense for the side of Handless Dogs starts very far back, and they need to start building their attack, and that means while they're trying to get that attack, this very slow Dubus has to walk his way over to the attack. By the time he's over there, usually the core's cleared already. So we'll see if they find a different approach here, but both barriers down already, I'm not sure.
There's Handless Dogs need to find whatever works very quickly here. They did not want that black hole gone, as Mr. Flambeau uses his core flip to make sure it happens, and Wolfmang trying to break Weston's ankles, but Weston is wise to it, immediately starts moving down, and this is a scary Handless Dogs push here. Gets the second barrier. Perhaps it is too little too late though, because this is Wolfmang with energy here, and gets it through with his slice and dice into the dash, and 3-0, convincing 5th set victory here for Pudad and Sons.
Yeah, Handless Dogs not necessarily making use of the Dubu as much as they would like to. They had some really good points, right, where that ultimate was difficult to really be clearing around, but more often than not, they couldn't get upfield fast enough to really set themselves up and make use of it efficiently, especially with Wolfmang doing such a good job at disallowing Weston from ever using that secondary, from ever using those aerials and get that Dubu upfield much faster. And even though a lot of goals were found for both sides, and again, also a lot of damage just across the board here, in the end, the side of Pudad and Sons had just had that little bit of extra consistency and that more clean gameplay and game plan execution as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Handless Dogs played a valiant effort here with the siege, with the Dubu. They basically waged a siege onto Pudash, but yeah, like you can see 100 saves from Atlas, 29 saves onto Cliff. They've held on valiantly, and they're rewarded for their efforts here.
Most definitely, but it's not done at this point because this just evens out the series, right? We'll see how they're gonna do in Game 3.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. This third map we're going to Clarion Corp, so we'll see how it goes.
And this is Game 3, the Clarion Test Chamber between Handless Dogs and Pudad and Sons. Game 1 went to Handless Dogs, Games 2 went to Pudad and Sons. And this is going to be Game 3 on an Aerials 1-2 punch start. We'll see who's going to take home the series today.
Both teams making sure they lock in their comfort picks. You see Weston on the Atlas, Pudash on the Dubu, and Nicky Millen on the Kazan. So yeah, very, very cool. Both teams pulled out all their stops here, and the first two barriers once again is on Pudad and Sons. It's kind of like a ritual now, and making sure the pressure stays on. Cliff hits level 2 first, Wolfmang is level 2 first, and Nicky Millen, this is really, really low on the low stagger character. But yeah, this is why it's so good to have Atlas here, as Weston heals Nicky Millen up to over half health again. And now Handless Dogs are answering back with a barrier of their own, as Nicky Millen playing this corner so comfortably here. And Mr. Flambeau trying to push it through, getting it back, using the secondary, and Pudash has to use his Tofu Fortress here, as Weston uses Expanse to knock Wolfmang out. Nicky Millen on the prowl for Wolfmang, who has full energy here, wants to save it, and Cliff ensuring that Wolfmang stays alive and getting the goal with the shotgun.
Ooh, that is so huge, actually, that Wolfmang stays alive here as well, because they do have a flip available to themselves now. And also, we're on a 1-2 punch start, right? It's gonna be very possible to try to play for KOs, and I feel like a lot of the goals will be found around kind of power plays, or even if it's not a KO power play, just a power play of making someone, putting them down into stagger and making sure they can't interact with the core, even if they wanted to.
The first winner of the Era Orb here comes from Wolfmang, as that is a huge Centauro, and Cliff uses his flip. Nicky Millen there to use the crooked leverage, and I think they want to kind of start knocking Cliff down, making sure he's uncomfortable here. And Cliff uses a secondary, putting the pressure on, passing it to Wolfmang, and now it's Weston losing both barriers, but still holding strong here on the final, what could be the final push for Pudad and Sons here. And Pudad and Sons really want to close this out. Cliff's getting a good rotate, but Flambeau is there to cut off the pass. Expanse does come out, but Weston, this is a Weston with a core flip here. And Wolfmang trying to make sure Cliff gets the core through, especially with the slice and dice, but unfortunately Handless Dogs are the one on the offense now, and Pudash forced to burn his flip here, but this is such a weird configuration of the stage to kind of clear out of. It's hard to get a clean clear, and Weston burns his flip, but Wolfmang wins the strike war regardless, and it's a 2-0 situation from Pudad and Sons.
Yeah, momentum very much in Pudad and Sons' favor right now, as Wolfmang finds a crucial timing on the strike there, making it even worse for Weston to use the flip in hindsight now, because now you don't have to flip, you don't have any HP left, any evades left either, in case someone tries to ability dump on you. Should they probably do it? I don't think so, but we'll see how it's going to play out, because Pudad and Sons are keeping up the attack very strong here.
Yeah, Mr. Flambeau staggered and has to fall back here, and Weston uses his special, gets Flambeau back, but does lose 2 barriers on that offensive sequence, and Wolfmang, yeah, coming in, slice and dice. Weston doesn't even need that energy burst, as Pudad and Sons go up a set 3-0 again.
Convincing set from them, and again, just as in every game so far, they're coming out of the gate and just completely taking over the momentum of the get-go, as they're going to be rewarded with another draft here. Drekar not really having any insanely high prio picks, gonna be fine with picking up the heavy impact here, as the bulk up gets picked up for Mr. Flambeau, gonna help with that survivability again. Another twin drive denied off the Atlas. I think this is 3 times where twin drive is dropped in a draft, and 3 times where it didn't go onto the Atlas, as the Dubu's gonna get some size, gonna deny that off the Kazan. Obviously size Kazan being incredibly difficult to deal with, so very valuable deny there.
Yeah, this is a Monboots Dubu, so not quite as big as a Pauldron's Dubu, but yeah, forcing Kazan offsides. But Nicky Millen has a Spark and a Dream, and 2 barriers down for Handless Dogs, and as momentum completely changes at the start of set 2 here. Handless Dogs getting off to a quick start set 2. Weston does lose a barrier now, and the Dubu wall stands strong here at the top. And Mr. Flambeau, though, controlling the midfield, and Nicky Millen and Mr. Flambeau pushing in with their secondaries, but they hold Pudad and Sons, and Cliff still kind of low, but he does get the orb and resets here. Weston does lose the second barrier here, so it's open goals on both sides here as Nicky Middleton rushes in. Dubu with the primary, and Cliff getting it out. Cliff and Pudash here making sure that the core doesn't go in, that the momentum isn't completely taken over here, and a great special from Weston, making sure Nicky Middleton can heal up here. And Cliff kind of running in, but a great expanse from Weston, making Pudash use his somersault, and now he has to lumber over there, hoping that he can get to the core in time, which he does. And Wolfmane slice and dice around Weston, and Weston uses the flip. Uses the flip and misses.
Very unfortunate, yeah.
It's a fortunate situation for Handless Dogs as Pudad and Sons continue the momentum, 4 points in a row on set 3 here, on set 2 of point 3. So
we'll have to see if it's going to come into play as well. Flip coming out from Wolfgang there is going to kind of destroy that attack momentum that they had, but they still are looking a lot cleaner in the way that they execute their comp as well, holding so much midfield control as opposed to Handless Dogs right now.
Yeah, I mean, Wolfmane goes out, Flambeau uses the flip for that, and Pudash doesn't have anything to really save that from happening to Wolfmane unlike last time. But yeah, the double barriers down on the power play, by the way, for Handless Dogs. Double flip, a double barrier down for Handless Dogs here, and now they're in a bit of a pickle again. As Nicky Middleton and Mr. Flambeau trying to rotate things around here. Weston has to use his expanse here because he missed his strike shot, and now it's a little uncomfortable as Mr. Flambeau trying to get midfield control, and Wolfmane and Cliff both stack, and Cliff does not die here. And this is a low Kazan Atlas saves Nicky Middleton here, and you can see how the Atlas has been so clutch in all of the games that we've seen today on both teams here. Nicky Middleton uses the flip. Unfortunately, the core stays in this like weird wonky place here, and they kind of gotta force it through. And it might be Wolfmane who can get a kill onto Mr. Flambeau, who does use his energy to stay alive here. Nicky Middleton racing back, and Mr. Flambeau gets the out clear. Great plays from Mr. Flambeau, making sure Handless Dogs stay in the game right now. A good rotate from Pudad and Sons, making sure the pressure is continued. Wolfmane looking kind of low, but he does have a lot of energy. Nicky Middleton winning the strike war against Cliff. Dashes a great angle from the Handless Dogs brawler as they get it around Pudash. Handless Dogs 1-1.
Another important goal for them to get the momentum going, potentially. They're getting a little bit better at being able to intercept those cores in that midfield area and getting then a proper attack set up for themselves. But I think overall, it's still a side of Pudad and Sons that are more in control of this game. An important goal to be found for Handless Dogs for sure, but I feel like they need to find a little bit more consistency before they can find themselves winning a set here. And I mean, yeah, case in point.
Yeah, case in point, Wolfmane misses his flip, but gets the barrier anyway, and slips the core by all the Handless Dogs here. And yeah, Pudad and Sons looking to lead 2-0. And on the final map, this is a huge mental deal as well. But Wolfmane brought low already and gets shot by Mr. Flambeau. Mr. Flambeau does use the Crystal Thorns here to ensure that kill was happening. Nicky Middleton playing for her life, wiggling out of the reaches of Cliff, who does use a shotgun and his special. Unfortunately, does not get the kill out of it. And Nicky Middleton reset at the same time as Wolfmane, and both brawlers meet on the field once again. And Nicky Middleton brought low. Dodges Wolfmane's special here, though. And we're going to see Weston answering back on Wolfmane's push. Rotates the core around. Pudash smartly waits out Mr. Flambeau's special here, and they start their own corner offense. This is a lot of pressure coming out from Pudad and Sons, and Weston finds the out clear somehow, and Pudash has to use his Tofu Fortress, and Cliff is getting brought down quite low. Nicky Middleton chooses to go for core control over finishing off the kill. That does let Cliff reset, and this is a scary Kazan in the corner. Lots of core control potential, especially with that. Oh, is it a kill coming through to Pudash as well to get the goal in? And it's 2-2. Handless Dogs making the set look a lot more competitive than set 1.
Well, it's definitely unfortunate that the KO wasn't found on Cliff there to get the energy reset on him as well, because he's gonna be having a flip soon if this keeps up. both Wolfang and Cliff can actually work on it. But before they can even make use of the flip, they need to get core out of their own half, because Handless Dogs are just keeping up the pressure right now.
I mean, Nicky Middle, an absolute menace on the Kazan. Wolfmane does get it through Weston with even with the primary coming out with his special there. And Nicky Middleton walking up, and yeah, Flambeau has the secondary. He has that aerials range available, and this is Flambeau with a core flip here, and potentially could close out the set. Wolfmane and Cliff are also very dangerous here because they both have flip, and they might use it liberally here to ensure that they can get this second set. This is a very important second set for Pudad and Sons, and Weston uses the flip, but Wolfmane answers back and somehow gets the core through. Flambeau uses his core flip defensively, and using the secondary, Nicky Middleton trying to kill Wolfmane. Does not get it. Wolfmane still brought low, still staggered, but he is on their side of the field, and Nicky Middleton has energy now, trying to get it around Cliff to Nicky Middleton, trying to put her in an offensive position. Pudash, I believe, has Tofu Fortress, used it now. Nicky Middleton uses the core flip. Pudash is wise to it, thanks to the Tofu Fortress, and gets it out at the nick of time against Mr. Flambeau here. Nicky Middleton did not have the hook up. Cliff is brought low, though, without energy. And Wolfmane here trying to get an angle off, and the Expanse lives again. Weston, though, trying to clear to Flambeau. Wolfmane uses his primary, gets it through Weston, and Pudad and Sons are up 2-0.
An incredibly important set here, because it completely changes the way that this game is going to go, because now Handless Dogs have no room for failure anymore. Any set that they're going to lose is going to lose them the series at this point. So it's put so much more pressure on them to perform, as Size gets denied off of this Kazan pick here as well, which would be a little bit of a crutch of getting him back, making this Kazan have more range to be working with. Sparkle Leadership still going to start sparking on Nicky Middleton, but I don't know if it's too little too late to get these sparks going. Primetime going to help Mr. Flambeau a lot with that, with those interrupts in the midfield area, but another team player finding its way onto Pudash, which is just, again, going to accelerate the attack for the side of Pudad and Sons so much more. So I feel like if you're not finding that midfield control by those piercing shots off the Estelle, Handless Dogs are looking at a rather big problem in this potentially last set.
Pudad and Sons have no signs of slowing down, as yes, this Estelle did take prime time, but had the team player value coming up. But on the bright side, if you really think about it, Handless Dogs will never lose another set, if you know what I mean. So Nicky Middleton's next sparks might not be deniable. So they are playing the gamble, but not if Cliff gets a wonderful shotgun off and gets both barriers. Open net for the Handless Dogs. This could be match point here for Pudad and Sons as they look to get their first victory in NAST, and 2-0, they go up. Wonderful shot from Cliff over and over again. I mean, the backbone of Pudad and Sons right now.
Yeah, they're just playing it so well, and also not only would it be their first victory, it would also be the first loss for Handless Dogs in Nasty here. So a lot of changes around the leaderboard here if the side of Pudad and Sons can keep up this consistency that they've had so far and take home the series.
And we might have just Caster's cursed them, because Flambeau with a wonderful secondary takes the lower barrier as well. And Nicky Middleton showed a lot of potential already despite slow Handless Dogs' first two sets. And this might turn it around here. As we Caster's curse another team just to keep the balance. And Nicky Middleton dashes in, making sure Pudash is a little uncomfortable clearing, has to burn the Tofu Fortress. Weston holds against Wolfmane through the lower left corner. Flambeau makes sure that the clear can happen as he uses the core flip. No room for error. Absolutely no room for error on the side of Handless Dogs. Mr. Flambeau trying to walk through Cliff, trying to get the kill onto Mr. Flambeau. But Flambeau gets the clear off and walks into the sunset. Cliff did not get that kill. And that primary, secondary coming in from Estelle, making sure the pressure is on against Pudad and Sons here as Nicky Middleton. This is Nicky Middleton with the core flip, and the Crystal Thorns coming out of Estelle, making sure the pressure stays on. Wolfmane cuts off any clears that Weston could have done. Nicky Middleton uses the core flip. Great weight, but Weston unfortunately misses the strike, and the core goes in. 3-0 set victory on Clarion Test Core. Pudad and Sons pick up their first victory in Nasty.
Yeah, the bounce in the side street there, a bit unfortunate, but that shouldn't take away from the performance that we've seen from Pudad and Sons today. They had a strong game one, weren't able to close it off in the end, but especially in these games 2 and 3, I feel like they started to shine a bit more. It started to come together a bit more, and especially if you look at this Clarion Test Chamber game, right? They won 3-0. It was a convincing set almost each time. Only letting 2 goals go through as well. So very much a deserving series victory for them here as in this week 3 of Nasty.
Yeah, I mean, very good plays coming out from each of the players from Pudad and Sons, and Cliff's DREKAR really turning the tides for Pudad and Sons as he got it both games, and they won both games. So very good plays. Congratulations for Pudad and Sons, yeah. And I mean, even though they lost their first game of Nasty, and the Stocks did put on a great performance. We saw a nice Dubu Brawler pick coming out the second set. Things didn't work out for them, unfortunately, but I mean, we really saw why they did pick up 2 games in Nasty earlier. So great games overall, and thank you.
Thank you too.